We all crave a real, deep connection with someone. But have you ever been in a relationship where it feels like you're just talking to a wall? It's an invisible wall, for sure, but you can feel it. Well, that barrier has a name: emotional unavailability. And in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly what that looks like.
Yeah, that feeling. That's exactly what we're talking about today. That sense that no matter what you do, no matter how much love you pour in, you just can't seem to get any closer. It's an incredibly lonely feeling, isn't it? When the person you want to be closest to in the world feels a million miles away.
Okay, before we jump in, just a really quick but important heads up. This is all for educational purposes, to help you recognize patterns and behaviors. We're not here to diagnose anyone, and if any of this stuff feels heavy or hits too close to home, reaching out to a mental health professional is always a really smart move.
All right, so let's start by actually putting a name to this invisible wall. In the world of psychology, it's called emotional unavailability. And you know what? It's really a defense mechanism. Now, it's really important to get this up front. This usually isn't about someone trying to be cold or uncaring. It's more of a state where a person just can't handle real emotional closeness. It's often tied to something called an avoidant attachment style. And really, at its core, it's a deep down fear of being vulnerable, of letting someone see who they truly are.
Okay, so how does this actually play out in a real relationship? Well, the first bunch of signs we're going to talk about are all designed to do one thing: keep you at a safe emotional distance.
All right, sign number one. This is maybe the most common one, and it's something you'll probably notice in your day-to-day conversations. A very deliberate and, let's be honest, frustrating lack of depth.
Yeah, we're talking about dodging intimacy by just never going deep. You might find that your partner is an expert at sidestepping any talk about the future or your feelings, or really anything that would make your bonds stronger. It's all about keeping the relationship paddling in the shallow end. Because for them, deep water feels really, really dangerous.
Okay, number two. Now, this one's tricky because at first glance, it can totally look like a good thing, a real strength. But it's actually another kind of defense.
Look, independence is a great quality, right? We love to see it. But this is different. This is independence to a fault. It's this extreme self-reliance where they take a ton of pride in never, ever needing anyone for anything. This isn't just about being able to take care of yourself. It's a strategy to avoid the vulnerability that comes with being a team. It makes it almost impossible for you to feel like you're truly in it together.
So we've seen how they keep talk shallow and keep you at arm's length. But what happens when, big emotions eventually show up? Because they always do, right? Well, that brings us to our next set of signs, which are all about emotional evasion. All right, number three. This is a classic escape move. When those tough feelings start to bubble up to the surface, an emotionally unavailable person will pretty much always look for the nearest exit door. See, people who fear intimacy often view expressing their feelings as a kind of weakness. So instead of talking things through, they'll just escape. They might dive into mindless scrolling on social media, get lost in video games for hours, maybe even oversleep. Really, just anything to distract themselves from actually having to feel an uncomfortable emotion. Okay, sign number four. And honestly, this one can be absolutely maddening. It can leave you feeling so confused. We're talking about that emotional whiplash, the whole push-pull dynamic. So it goes like this. You have these amazing moments of connection. You're spending quality time, opening up, having fun. And then just as you start to feel really close, poof, they pull away. They might stop calling or go radio silent for days. They get distant and flaky. It feels so random, but it's not. That feeling of closeness is the trigger. It sets off their internal alarm, and their gut reaction is to run and create distance. Coming in at number five, and this one is super tricky because it takes something that's supposed to be healthy, boundaries, and kind of twists it into a tool for emotional distance. We all know that boundaries are healthy and necessary, but this is something else. This is about using extreme or super rigid boundaries to completely shut you out. Just like the quote says, they might think they're just protecting their space, but the result for you is that you feel completely walled off, distant, and closed off from huge parts of their life. So we've talked about avoidance and keeping distance, but our final set of signs, these are a little more active.
These are about the ways an emotionally unavailable partner might actually push you away, sometimes even by creating conflict.
All right, sign number 6. So what happens when a real problem comes up in the relationship? A conflict that needs to be resolved.
And look, nobody loves to argue, but this goes way beyond that. This is a flat-out refusal to engage with the root cause of a problem because that would require emotional work. So instead of working through it with you, they just shut down, they numb out, and you're left feeling like you're the only one fighting for the relationship.
Okay, number 7. Now this one can really do a number on your self-esteem because it involves them turning the spotlight onto all of your so-called flaws. Do you ever feel like you just can't do anything right in their eyes, like they're constantly finding fault with you? It's often a subconscious tactic. See, by focusing on what they see as your flaws, they create a reason in their own mind to keep their distance. It's a really destructive but powerful way to keep you at arm's length.
And that brings us to our final sign, number 8. This is kind of the ultimate act of self-preservation, and it comes at the expense of the partnership itself. Here's the thing. People who are terrified of intimacy will often sabotage their own relationships, whether they realize they're doing it or not. This could look like forgetting important dates or consistently failing to communicate about big things. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? It ensures the relationship can never get stable enough, never get close enough to actually feel threatening to them.
Okay, so after hearing all of that, you might be sitting there thinking, great, so what now? And it can feel overwhelming, I totally get it. But the point here is not to place blame, it's about gaining clarity. At the end of the day, the most crucial thing to take away from this is simple. Just recognizing these behaviors for what they are is a huge, powerful first step. It lets you understand the dynamic that's really at play. And from that place of understanding, you can start to decide what's actually best for you.
So, I want to leave you with this question to reflect on. What does a truly healthy, emotionally connected relationship look like to you? Because before you can even think about breaking down someone else's wall, you have to be crystal clear on the kind of beautiful thing you want to build.